Hello and welcome again to my greenhouse, and we're going to have a leisurely look around the greenhouse today. We've not been in here for a while. If you're looking for quick answers to things, this is probably not going to be the video for you. This is going to be a general, casual little look around the greenhouse, picking out some of the things that you maybe not seen before. There's quite a few new things in here at the moment. Lots of different things have happened, different things have changed over the past few weeks and months since the last videos. So if you just want a leisurely little look at some new plants, some old plants, some ones that are doing really well, some ones that aren't doing so well, and a little general chat, and this is probably the video for you. Oh, and I've just had a cancerous mole off. That's why I've got this horrible disfigurement on my face. Let's get started. And we are in. So I said it was going to be a casual look around the greenhouse, and that's what it is. So we're going to start off with this coleus. Now this is a present that somebody bought for me, and I've still not had a chance to do anything with it. We're getting to the end of the gardening season now. Some of you might know that I'm a gardener by trade, one of the things that I do. And we're at 1st of October as I'm filming this, and it's really going to be an early end to the season. So I expect probably partway through October, maybe midway, maybe even now looking at the weather, I may have to hang up the mower for another year and put away the gardening tools. But of course I'll be able to get onto the greenhouse. I've just had a quick look around myself, just done some tidying up, and I thought, well, it'd be a good idea to just jump on and have a chat about some of the things that's going on. So I believe you can grow these in the house. There's no reason why not. They are tropical plants. This is a beautiful hybrid, but it's too big for me. I think it was sold off at the end of the season as probably a little bit cheaper because it's gone quite tall. End of the season, people want to plant these outside, and of course in the UK that's going to die. So looking at the nice new growth down here, I expect that I'll be able to cut it back to that new growth. It is looking a little dehydrated. I've just given it a water, and I'm going to cut this off down towards these new growths, and all that lovely growth will have to go. But you know, you've got to do these things, haven't you? But what I might do is I might try taking some of these as cuttings. I believe they take really easily, just as regular, you know, the regular way of cutting things, the semi-ripe stem cuttings, where you just simply take a stem and take it down to just below a leaf node, strip back the leaves, you know the thing, you know the drill, stick it in a little bit of compost, and away you go. You can do it in water if you want. I know people love to take cuttings in water. Never really understood that. To me, that's just adding another step. Why not just stick it straight into a pot? Well, anyway, if that's your thing, go for it. So what else have we got going on? Lots and lots. This fantastic hybrid of an orchid. So we've got one fantastic beautiful bunch of blooms, two fantastic beautiful bunches of blooms, another one that was fantastic, well that one's going over now, and another one coming here. So this is one of my biggest orchids. It does have a big long name which I've gone into in the past. No, here we go. No, I don't think that's it. Epicatanthe volcano trick crossed with Leliocattleya Janet Sparkle. Very difficult to get hold of this particular hybrid. I think it's almost died out, but by goodness, it knows how to bloom. What we've got here is a pot in a pot. I did intend repotting it at one point, and somebody very handily pointed out to me, why repot it? If it's doing so well, just leave it. Yeah, of course. I think we get so into the idea that everything needs to be repotted that, you know, why bother? If the thing is doing great, the only reason it didn't bloom for me, I'd say the last 8 to 10 months, is because I didn't have the light levels. And that will be a recurring theme through this little trip around the greenhouse. Okay, so that's that. That's looking absolutely fabulous, as are some of these pelargoniums. We'll come to that in a minute. We've got several of my hippeastrums here, and I have to almost admit defeat on them. I do not know why I can't get them to rebloom. I did do at one point when I had, I mean this may be answering my own question here, when I had the temperatures in this part of the greenhouse up to 18 all year round, I got them to rebloom. When I had them in the hothouse, they would not rebloom. Now I've got them in the greenhouse, and through the winter they will drop to a lower temperature, which should be fine if that's the time that I put them into dormancy. And I have had them all in dormancy, brought them out again a month or two back, still no sign of blooms. Maybe it's just not warm enough in here. I've bunched together quite a few orchids up there, mainly because there's not much happening with them. What have we got here? We've got a variegated streptocarpus. Look at this, this is a new one. Glandulocyssimus, I guess. I can't see the us bit on the end. So that one is a variegated one. I think this one actually is the fact that I got it at the side of the pot, I think I took a cutting from the main one. I ordered that a few months ago, and when it came it was a little large, so I took a cutting of it. See what happens to that. You'll probably come across it as we work our way round. Mandevilla back in bloom, and the reason again why that's not bloomed very well this year, again, all this summer I've struggled because I did this rather wonderful insulation here, which has worked an absolute treat. I would very much recommend it, but as I said at the time, the downside is that you cut out the light, and one of the main reasons of having a greenhouse made out of glass is that you get the light, don't you? There are lots of downsides to that as well, of course, in the temperature and the burning and so on and so forth, but you can always add to your light, and I always intended to. It's just that, you know, you can't always afford to go and spend £150 plus on a decent grow light. Now I do have the light, and things have come back to life again, even though we're getting to the end of the season. That's looking rather nice. So this Impatiens niamensis, always in bloom, that pretty much all year round. We do seem to have gotten over the spider mite issue with that. I've not had them at all this year, touch wood. I'm just touching my head. Beautiful begonia black knight. Another beautiful begonia solid silver. Let's work our way around. We mentioned this, I think it's Pelargonium rowan, I think. That's in a tiny little pot, doing great, bloomed its head off all year. I do have a Begonia boliviensis here. Now, that's done way better since I've got the extra grow lights. Again, it's another bright light one, but it's just too late in the season for it to bloom now. I've talked about that a number of times. I do need to get that in the house now that we got to autumn. Just the colours on that are tremendous. You may have seen my video on Achimines. All these beautiful blooms here, the yellow ones, the red ones, the purple ones. I think that is it. Yeah, if you're interested in that, my last video was all about Achimines. We've got the Begonia Connie Boswell, another little pelargonium in the background there. One or two other things, another pelargonium down there. That one is, oh, what's that one? I can't remember. King Spirit. Yeah. We've got this is a new begonia, newish. So this one is Down Home. And this one, the pictures I've seen of it look tremendous. Now, okay, those blooms don't look anything at the moment. The photos always look great, don't they? We'll see how this one does and see if I can get it looking anything like the photograph on the website. So that's down there next to this beautiful, it's washed off, Melanobulata, of course, I can remember it. Now, well, look at this one. Now, this is a little bit of a unusual plant for me. Now, I love this. This is Arachnoidea, Begonia arachnoidea. Did absolutely fantastic all through winter, even though the temperatures were low in here. I didn't let it go below 12. And then come to the summertime and it just declined and declined and declined. And this is why you can see the state of some of these leaves. Half of them I've had to tear off because they have got mould, mildew and so on. This is a brand new leaf, and there's another brand new leaf coming. So why the decline in summer and why the sudden resurgence now that we've got to autumn? Well, I'm very often fond of saying that humidity is, it's overused as a reason for plants not doing well, as far as I'm concerned. This is my opinion. You might think differently. In my experience, in my environment, I'm trying to be very careful how I say this, because obviously whatever you say is very much based on your own experience and your own environment, and I'm aware that other environments, you know, will show different outcomes. So the reason that this, in my opinion, declined was because we got into summer and the humidity dropped. And this one is known as being as a begonia that loves high humidity, really loves high humidity. Now in the UK, it very often is high humidity, but when the sun comes out in summer, which it occasionally does, and it comes round and shines on the greenhouse, then all your humidity goes out of the window. I've had the doors open, I've had it covered with a fleece, I didn't want any insects to get in. So that's what's happened. And as we've come to the cooler time and the sun's disappeared, the humidity's gone up again and it's started to grow again. And that, in my range of plants, in my environment, is the only plant I'm aware of that's actually responded in such a strong way to the humidity. And this is why people grow them in terrariums, I guess. So yeah, interesting bit about the Arachnoideum. I'm really pleased it's coming back again, because that was an expensive plant. I don't want to lose it, and I really want it to go much bigger than that because the leaves can get huge. Little begonia curly fireflush, always worth a look, still beautiful. Nearly lost that at one point. I have a few pelargoniums dotted about here. This is another new begonia, only a small one. So this one is, what is this one? A Marmaduke. That's quite cute, isn't it? That's nice. I like to see what that does as it gets bigger. There's so many different variations in leaves in begonias. How people can prefer the blooms to the leaves, I don't really know, because there's such a variety. Whereas with the begonia flowers, you tend just to get different colours. I know you get different sizes, and it's just my thing. I just prefer that. I prefer the leaves to the blooms. I do like a nice bloom, but I prefer leaves on begonias to the flowery ones. So, little mention about my cyclamen down there. Now, this year, rather than send them into total dormancy, I did keep them going. As you can imagine, they have come back more quickly this year because I've just gave them a little trickle of water. That seems to be the thing to do for me. They're not taking ages to come back. You can see some of them are already in bloom. There's a few down here with some in bud. The leaves are looking better. They don't seem to be with tarsonomid mite like they usually are when they come out of dormancy. So that is the thing that I will do in future. I will only send them into like a semi-dormancy, whereby I will allow them to yellow, allow them to dry out, but not totally. Just keep giving them that little bit of water just to keep them ticking along. And maybe that's what they get in the wild, you know, in these places in Turkey and around that area of the Mediterranean. Maybe they do still get the odd little bit of rain, or maybe their roots can reach some moisture. So I showed people on Instagram that this Hoya, I've never done very well with Hoyas, I just don't have the conditions. This is Wilbur Graves, and this did put a beautiful bloom out for me. And I've had this other one, you know, the really common one, which I can't remember. Oh yeah, Carnosa Crimson Queen. I've had this for years. Never bloomed once. Now we have some buds on it. And you can see how I've neglected it. It's got loads of kind of yellowing, horrible leaves on there. Maybe that's the thing to do, neglect them. So what else have we got that we've not mentioned? This Oncidium Twinkle Yellow, I've had that since 2020, so that's a full 4 years of no blooms, and now it's bloomed. I bought it in bloom, but it had spider mite for a long time, and I managed to rescue some of the little bits, some of the little pseudo bulbs. Finally, we are vindicated. We have some, A at the moment, flower spike. I hope I get some more on that. What else? So, I mentioned on one of the other videos all about my Streptocarpus have been horrendous this year. Again, it's all down to the light. They love the light. New one here, this is a species. This one is Grandis. Little tiny leaf on it, but you can see how it's different to the usual. It's only quite a small flower, but I quite like that. That's quite cute, and it could get a lot better than that, hopefully. I even got one of those big leaf ones. The, what's this one? Wendiandii. Wendlandii. Now that one is about to bloom already, which is a real surprise. I didn't want it to so soon because of course they die once they have bloomed, these large flowered ones. So it's not a spectacular display. I know lots of yours out there will be looking better than mine, but bear in mind it's been in the dark for such a long time and it's just nice to get something based on the time of year. Next year will be the year because I've got my lights back. Look at this, size of this thing, plumeria. Again, I mentioned this on my Instagram because I said, what do I do? I've got two of them. I've one there and I've another one over there. They have been out for most of the year and it's helped because they've got lots and lots of light and that has meant that they've put lots of leaf on. But how big do I allow them to go without actually getting that reward of a nice bloom? At the moment, my feeling is I'll hang on a little bit longer. Maybe because I'm going into the winter and I expect all these leaves to drop, but I'm going into the winter with a good strong plant. Maybe next year will be the year that we get some blooms on it. Otherwise, I'm going to have to be very ruthless and get rid of them because if they're not going to give me some blooms, somebody did mention, Michael, I think it was, some of you will know Michael over in Florida there, he mentioned that when the plumeria don't bloom in Florida, it usually is because, not because of lack of light, but because the temperatures have not been consistent. Now, temperatures are never consistent here. I don't remember that one. I wonder if that's a new one. It's just caught my eye there. Although that looks different to that. That's what it should look like. Look how that's different. It's the same plant. I suppose it's kind of, it's just smaller, isn't it? The white bit's smaller. I don't know which one it is. It's a Fleischl hybrid, Roulette Azure. No, I remember that. That's not a new one. No, just that bloom just caught me as being different. Just struck me as being different. So hopefully we're going to get the Streptocarpus back to the former glory. Looking nice. A Begonia Boweri Zumba, that one. So let's just move around. Oh, by the way, this is the first year I've managed to keep this Logini cristata plump, the pseudobulbs plump. And the way I've managed to do that is I've put some of this capillary matting underneath so I can actually water it from the top and then that'll keep everything moist. Previous years, it's just drained through and it hasn't kept them plump. So maybe, because everybody seems to be able to bloom this, only me, so maybe next year I will get some blooms on the very easy to bloom Logini cristata, except when I do it. So let's move on around. This begonia, this one from Nicholas, Carolina. This one was doing, it's done reasonably well in the house. Now that I've brought it in here, again, it was doing reasonably well, but the temperatures have really dropped, so it's going down. At the moment, I'm keeping temperatures just above, you can see over there, a minimum of 6.5. Now in here at the moment, it's 16. I'm allowing them to go so low. I normally only allow it down to about 12 degrees. I find that that's just about the minimum I can manage to get it through the winter. I'm allowing them to go so low now because during the day it's going up. It's surprising how you can allow the temperatures to go really low if during the day it's still going up. That's another little tip if anybody's got a greenhouse and are heating their greenhouse. For many of these tropical plants, orchids included, if they've got that daytime temperature that's a bit higher, then they'll survive. For me, once the temperature outside comes down to 12 degrees, then it's just that tipping point that the plants start to show signs of cold damage. You know, colder on a night, not really getting that warm in the day. So at that point, I will raise this temperature. I'll put these heaters so that they don't go below 12 degrees. That's what I've been doing this year. So far, so good. Some more begonias down here, doing all right. This Griffon, this will start to show some signs of cold damage. In fact, all these leaves may well drop off. We were talking about the Corallina, wasn't we? So that's just stopped in its tracks because overnight it's going down to 7 or 8 degrees. That really prefers to be, you know, way up to like 15 plus. So we'll see how that gets on. That's looking really nice. Syngonium albo variegata. Again, that's going to suffer during the during the winter. Loads of pelargoniums here, again, not done really well because the light was too dark. What I'm going to do with these next, in the next few weeks, is they really need to be chopped back. I can give myself some more room, and it'll start them off nicer plants coming into the springtime next year. I was just holding off a little bit. I normally do it in about September time, but I was holding off because some of them may well bloom again. As you can see, this one has got some buds on it. I'm not going to show them, but obviously, you know, they're not being shown in a pelargonium show, so I don't really care when they bloom. Any time is great for me, so I'm going to allow, if I'm going to have a look at them, if I can see any of them are going to bloom or coming into bud, I'm going to let them do it. I don't care when in the year it is. If they're not looking like that's going to happen, then I'm going to chop them right back, give myself some more room, start them off next season with a nice rounded shape to them. This begonia fuchsioides, again, because of the light, it's grown leaves, but it's not done anything. There's a little flower there. It's just giving me a gesture. There's a lot of noise coming from outside. So this one, beautiful, beautiful orchid, which I always forget the name of. I forget the names of most of my plants because I don't have a very good memory. Neostylis lucneri. I've got 3 spikes on it, not very large spikes, beautiful scent to it, but it's not in as good a place as it was last year. Last year I had it round about there, like dangling from halfway along there, and it really liked that, but it was in the way. So it's a bit of a compromise. I've had to move it, but it's flowered, you know, that's all that matters. And it might well send another spike out yet, because it can do that. Over here, again, this is another one that I seem to struggle with. This one is Philodendron Florida Ghost. I've had it a few years, struggling, but it's putting some flowers, some new leaves out, so I'm quite happy to leave it and let it come at its own pace. So we've got the species Oncidium sotoanum here with a couple of new spikes on it. Again, it's not in the best place, it's a little bit shaded, and I think that's probably why it's not put many spikes out this year. We've had flowers on the Rhinanthera citrina crossed with Monachilla. We've had, where else have we had flowers on? Oh, this one's going to flower as well. This pelargonium really struggled. I think it's in too big a pot. It really doesn't like to get very wet at all, and it doesn't suck up that much moisture. It's very small. Obviously the variegations don't help. The same with this one. That's the kind of pot size it should really be in, I think. Sometimes, I don't know if you do this, but sometimes my ambition for the plant outstrips what it wants. And I think, oh yeah, it's doing really well now. I'll give it some more space and let it really take off. And then it does the opposite because it doesn't want to be wet all the time, and having all that moisture around just quickly sends it into a decline. Always looking nice. I'd really like some monopenthes, but every time I look at them and I look how dear they are, and I think about the size of the plant that comes, I get put off and I don't buy them. So I've not actually bought a nepenthes for a number of years now. So I don't know if I've missed anything. I probably have missed a few things. Oh, I've just remembered something that I have missed. Didn't mention this one. So this is a Streptocarp, oh that's the one, Glandulocyssimus. Now, there's a little label in there. You know, I showed you earlier on the cutting. That's what it's going to look like. It's a species, flowers over a long time. Got that in early September. And there's another new one, which I forgot to mention. Let's just move back here. This one here. Now this one is, I think this is an Escananthus. Yes. This is another species, Thailand variegated. So let's see how that does, seeing as my other Escananthus have done really well. I have got some other new plants somewhere, but I don't know what I've done with them. Isn't that terrible? That's not a new one down there, but I like it, but it's not doing that well. Well, there's a couple of new leaves at the bottom there. It's not doing great. So that one is Begonia Raja, another species. You see, the species don't always do well, do they? They're always a challenge because, of course, species like to be out in their own environment in the wild somewhere. This is why we have hybrids, of course. Let's have a look. Is there anything else we've missed? No, I've not talked about the carnivorous plants over here for a while. There's not a lot going on with them. They've got all this stuff happening. I did repot that one. The Drosera regia, the King Sundew, it always kind of dies back and then comes back up again. Almost like it's died off. Well, there might be a new little one there, Latifolia. That one looks like it's died off, but I think that was just a Drosera capensis. But again, if you leave them long enough, they tend to send something new out. So let's see what happens with that. I don't want to prematurely throw it, and the same with that one. That one just looks like a pile of nonsense with a few little capensis seedlings in. Oh no, that's not capensis, is it? That might be the new one coming back. Oops, sorry, can't see. There you go. I know, they're very underwhelming Drosera, unless you actually see them in real life. They can look much better when you're actually right up against them, and that's what I'll keep saying anyway. I cut that right back. This is the Begonia nigricans, because it goes absolutely huge, and every time I cut it back, it comes back. There's the tiger paw, Begonia boweri, tiger paw down there. Again, that was in the house for a long time. So I think that's everything that's going on at the moment. I've got my eye on a few new plants, and I expect once autumn really sets in and winter sets in, I'll have a real good clear up in here. I do intend doing some more of the insulation a little bit higher up. This bit's come off, so that needs fixing just before the main part of the winter comes, and we'll see if we can save even more money. So that's where we're up to. I'm sure something in there tickled your fancy. If I've missed anything, if you wanted me to discuss something else, please let me know. As usual, I like to read things in the comments, what you're doing, what you're up to, anything that you found interesting or boring or worth a chat about, or that you want to ask me about or tell me about. Please do put it in the comments. A like would be very much appreciated. We all like a like, don't we? And hopefully more videos to come, and for now I'll see you on the next one. Bye.